Good morning, everyone. Right now, it's the first Sunday of 2025. We're in January right now. This is the first Sunday. Uh, Yesterday and today it's been nice and kind of sunny. The sun's been breaking out quite early in the morning, and it's been kind of nice and out there. A little bit different than the last month. The last month we had some days like this, but lots of the days has been just kind of very gray and gloomy. Um, in the morning, especially in the morning, lots of dew and so forth. There's still a bit dew even in this kind of sunny weather, but they are kind of drying out when the sun comes out. So how has like the month of December been? Well, it's been pretty cold. I mean, in terms of California standards, my nighttime temps has been in the mid 40s. My daytime temps has been either in the high 60s or low 70s. There was one unusual day where I think it hit like 75 or something. It was pretty high for a December day. So that's kind of like the update of the weather, how it's been. In terms of the plants, everything's been pretty much kind of swelling, and the buds look like they're about to push pretty soon. But in this kind of weather, it takes such a long time for the buds to fully push out a fully sized bloom panicle. So here's like an example one right here. I mean, currently in this kind of weather, it takes like a month or two for them to finally push out a full-on bloom kind of panicle that's full size. So it does take it a long time in this kind of weather for it to happen. I am planning to spray, but spray in a precautionary sense in terms of trying to prevent any kind of dieback in terms of the limbs. We do get quite a bit of that here in Southern California. That's what I'm going to spray for. So I'll probably be using copper maybe once or twice again. I am not really going to spray with the intention of trying to save any of these blooms, especially this first bloom cycle. Here in California, we get like a second rebloom, third rebloom, and lots of times until they finally set fruit. My intention is I'm going to give these plants, at least these 2019 rootstocks, another year of vegetative growth, and I think I'm going to get to the size where I do really like it. I think one more year of growth this year without the focus on fruits is going to give me a nice size in terms of height and everything that I want. And then 2026 is when I'm going to really spray consistently to try to set fruit. Just so you guys have a bit of history on this, if this is the first time you're tuning into the channel, these rootstocks was planted out in 2019. They were planted out like around I think it was on summer. I can't remember. It was in 2019. So as of right now, it's getting close to being in the ground for about 6 years. It's about maybe 5.5 years being in the ground. These are the Manila rootstocks, which does really well in California. They're very vigorous. Even when they're flowering, they'll be sending out vegetations even in the middle of winter too. So that's a little bit of history on these 2019 Manila rootstocks. So let's take a look at some of them and see what's going on with this. My goal for vegetative growth is I'm going to let this bloom. I'm going to let them bloom. I am not going to be cutting the bloom panicles. I am not going to be removing the bloom panicles or anything. The goal with that is that the bloom panicles will hold on and not rebloom. So that's why I have no intention of removing the bloom panicles, because once you do remove it, it will rebloom. But because I am looking for vegetative growth, I'm going to see how long that spent bloom panicle is going to last. The longer it lasts, it doesn't stop a rebloom, but it does sometimes kind of help delay a rebloom. And if it kind of delays it long enough into a hot kind of weather in late spring, early summer, then there's no second rebloom. So that's my goal. Whatever blooms, I can just leave it alone, and when I leave it alone like that, the hope is that it will not reflush or bloom. Okay, and that's the goal for vegetative growth. If you're trying to get like fruits or so forth, you're probably gonna have to make sure you either try very hard to save that first bloom, which is very difficult, or try to time your second and third bloom correctly during like much better weather, and then you could spray, and you don't have to spray too much to get it to set fruit. Okay, so that's enough about that. Let's kind of get back on track. I'm going to show you guys kind of what's happening here. Lots of them are swelling. There's pretty much everything's pretty much swelling. The only thing I have that's not swelling, like what this is going to end up being, is either blooms or mixed blooms, is some of my seedlings and some of my attempts at a immature non-fruiting seedling scion. Okay. Here's an update on the Super Julie. It looks much better than it did just a month or two ago. There's a bit more coloring that's coming back to it. It's a bit more green. It was very, very pale yellow just not too long ago. So it's looking a little bit better. Still have some fear that this branch and the graft might just end up dying back. Hopefully it doesn't. Okay, so that's that. Let's see if there's anything else kind of pushing. This is a sunrise right here. This is a sunrise. Hope you guys can see that. I haven't gotten any fruit set on that or even nubbins on that. Let's see what happens this year. The sweet tart has really sized up really well. This grafted branch right here. I got a bunch of mixed blooms coming out of it right here. Yeah, these are all kind of mixed blooms. Quite a bit of mixed blooms on this sweet tart graft right here. Right, on to the next tree. So this one's the next one. This one's like my largest. They're all planted at the same time. But this one was my most vigorous of the rootstock. It has the biggest chunk size out of them. And I got quite a bit of stuff going on this one. This one is not as kind of organized as the other ones where have minimal varieties. This one has just a lot of stuff going on. Here's an ice cream that looks like it's gonna send something. Probably mixed bloom. Here's a this one is Pinseng Moon. So this bloom right here looks bad already. It's not gonna make it. But the ones in the back right here, still pretty clean. Again, I'm pretty sure most of these are not gonna make it through the next 2-3 months of really kind of the worst time of the year for the mangoes to be blooming, really, So here's a Valkyrie. Here's one of Brian's amazing peach cobbler seedling. This one looks like it took flushed and everything. Here's a California Romit that's blooming. Let's kind of take a look at Harvest Moon. It's swelling up. Alfonso is swelling up a bit. Here's let's see, let's go around. Here's a Golden Queen, Cat Saigon, Jin Huang. What's the name for this one? It's setting out a bloom start. This is an M4. This is a seedling, a mature seedling of Sun Paris. Here's a Diamond. So Diamond is from Zill's breeding program. It is a Nam Dok Mai seedling. And lots of my Nam Dok Mai has been blooming. It's way further ahead than all the other varieties, whether it's Nam Dok Mai Mun, Nam Dok Mai number 4, and this one's actually a Nam Dok Mai seedling from Zill's breeding program called Diamond. And look how far ahead it is with the bloom start. Julie. No, this is this is Juliet. Juliet right there. Gonna push. Let's kind of go around. Here's a Pineapple Pleasure. I was able to get one fruit from it last year. We'll see what happens this year. Two grass that has kind of just taken off like crazy is this one right here called Sindri. Look at the branching on it. Look how thick the stem has gotten. So this one's called Sindri. It's an Indian variety. And another one behind it is called Hindi Besanala. Also very, very vigorous. Both of these did not bloom last year. It was very interesting. It did not bloom. It was probably the only 2 or 3 varieties in my yard that did not bloom in this area. That's very fascinating. And right now it's not even swelling or anything like that too. So it might need a bit more cold and a bit more time to bloom, which is not a bad thing if these are like, I had never tasted the fruit, but it's not a bad thing if these are excellent tasting fruit. Like these kind of varieties will give you time for your tree to get established before it starts blooming. But it's very interesting. These two has not bloomed, and it's not even swelling right now. So it was grafted last year, no bloom whatsoever. Very vigorous grower. Okay, next up is this one's called Raw Honey, but I think the original variety name is called Shrahinta. I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing it right. I think it's a variety from Myanmar, Burma, that area. Okay. Next up is Maha Chinook. So Maha Chinook, some of the branches are pushing, some of the branches are semi-pushed through, and some is like nice long bloom panicle right now. So my Maha, at least the Maha I have had fruit from, does not have any aroma. It has such a tiny slight aroma to it. So it's one of probably like 3 or 4 strains out there in the trade. So it grows well, nice vigorous stalk, you know, long inner nodes. Just the odd thing is that it doesn't have an aroma. From my understanding, the ones in Thailand do, and some of the ones here that we get, the strains here in the US that we get, does have that strong aroma. So I got a few of those from my friends to see how they do. I grafted onto the same Maha branch, and we'll see what happens. Like if the ones I seen, the growth pattern and everything seems to be the same. It's just a slight differences, such as something like that, like difference in aroma. There might be some differences in like how it grows, but they seem to be a bit the same. So this is an experiment. So this one, I got this from my friend Brian. This strain, the fruits produces a very strong aroma. Okay, the graft on this took. This one I grafted a while ago, hasn't pushed, but I got this from my friend Verne. Same thing with his strain, a very strong aroma to it. Here's the next one. This one's another strain of Maha, got from my friend Tien. The odd different thing about this is that his variety was blooming like 2 months ago, like back in October, you know, and I thought that was a bit unusual. So I'm trying this out. So we'll see what happens with these different Mahas I got from different sources, and see if they end up, you know, growing and producing something similar. Whether the growth habits the same, the food is the same, the disease resistance is the same. I'm not too sure about it, but that's the kind of experimental Maha grass that's happening on here. And that's gonna take a few years to figure it out. Okay, up next is the next tree. Okay, I got some more Maha grass on here, and here's a Saint Talone Guava that's blooming. Here's a Giselle that's pushing, possibly, pretty much, I'm pretty sure it's bloom. Here's my orange sherbet graft on this. It seems to be swelling, pushing something. Hasn't grown as fast as I'd like, but I think it's gonna start to pick up. Here's a Ceci Love that's pushing some blooms. All those blooms you see back there. That's right. Yeah, all those blooms you see back there. That is not duck my mun. I still have not had a fruit. I had this variety for gosh, like 3 years already, maybe more, maybe longer. I haven't had fruit from it yet, so see what happens. Here's another sweet tart graft. Another sweet tart graft right here, pushing mixed blooms, yeah, like strong mixed blooms off these sweet tart. So they definitely need a lot more stronger cold trigger for it to bloom. Let's see what else I got here. Here's an Angie. Here's an Angie that's blooming. Angie seems to be a little bit unique. I haven't had enough blooms or enough branches to kind of determine for sure, but they seem to be very disease resistant and set fruit on the first bloom. So this is the first bloom. We'll see what happens with it. In terms of the flavor, I had a few that has ripened for me in late summer, but they were still a bit bland. I mean, that's the only thing I would have to say about it. It was still a bit bland, even though it was ripening in kind of late summer. Okay, here's a Dunkin'. I doubt either of this is going to make it. Okay. Here's the original rootstock. See the original rootstock? I mean, I don't think this is even going to bloom. You know, still so pointy. This Verne Manila, it takes a lot of cold trigger to bloom. The Verne Manila, the rootstock itself takes a lot of cold to trigger to bloom, and the blooms tends to happen later in winter versus earlier. Just maybe it needs a lot more longer exposure to chill. Here's my poorest looking grafted tree, and this was actually one of my stronger ones in the early days, but this is kind of like that example where I tell you guys about, like, if you keep on grafting onto the tree and the grafts keep on failing, you do set them back quite a bit, you know. So I actually had some Super Julie fruits I left on here to try to ripen to taste it. Everything about it looked great. I mean, it was showing color breaks. I picked off the stem. There was like no sap on some of them, but still did not ripen properly, unfortunately. So that's why you never did get to see the taste review on that. It just never ripened properly. So we'll see. I do have lots of Super Julie graft, and unfortunately it has not set fruit well for me, and hopefully that will change next year, because I have a larger graft of Super Julie that I intend to really figure out that second bloom timing to make it sure I get some healthy fruits on it. So okay. Next up is ST Maui. Here's ST Maui. Very, very nice grower, you know. I like the growth pattern of ST Maui. It tends to go vertically. It tends to weep a little bit too, but it goes vertically. It grows very vigorously. The only thing about ST Maui that is a setback, in my opinion, it is pretty prone to powdery mildew. You are not gonna get fruits if you don't spray ST Maui, you know. But the growth pattern, everything, it's a nice vigorous grow. The fruit is fantastic. The fruit's amazing. I love the fruit, but if you don't spray this thing, you're not gonna get any fruits in ST Maui. So that's the one bad thing about ST Maui. But it's everything about it is everything else about it is pretty nice. Like nice vertical growth. It kind of weeps enough too. If you see the flush on ST Maui, it is this nice, beautiful, like neon, bright pink flush. It's one of the most beautiful flushes of growth you see on any mango variety. So if you have one that doesn't flush like that, there is a high possible chance it's not the real one. It is flushing like green leaves or something like that. And unfortunately, I've seen a few trees like that where they sold it as an ST Maui, but I have some high doubts that they are. But this is ST Maui. Really recommend this one. If you're okay with spraying, I really recommend this one. Okay, what's up? Here's Sassy Love. My Sassy Love grafts have not been doing good. It seems to be a variety that I might have to dedicate an entire branch to it versus kind of being able to compete with some of the other branches. It's just kind of, you know, slower growing. Flowers bloom way too early and way too disease prone. There's lots of popularity with this variety right now, but in terms of California, I would recommend you guys just go with a sweet tart instead of a Sessi Love. Sweet tart, I never had Sessi Love, but what I've heard is that they taste very similar. The biggest difference is that probably in Florida, the size is more controllable. For us here in California, you want growth, so you get yourself a sweet tart. Okay, let's see what I got here. Here's a very unique seedling scion, immature seedling scion graft. This is a lemon zest seedling with a strong Alfonso-like aroma in the leaves. This has been my favorite of my lemon zest seedling, just because I love the aroma on this. Like when I crush this, it's just amazing. The aroma is just amazing on this. So I have it grafted on other stuff. This one's a graft on a mature tree. We'll see what happens when it will bloom. You know, I'm guessing 2 years it would take to bloom. That's my guess when you graft a seedling scion to it, but I haven't had too much experience with mangoes in terms of that kind of experience, but I've done quite a bit of seedling and mature seedling grafts on other tropical trees, and I think 2 years is like kind of where it takes some of them, like an Anona or Antimonium, Cheromosia, and so forth. That seems to be the case. We'll see what happens with this. It doesn't look like it will be swelling up to bloom this year, but we'll see what happens next year. Here's some grafts I made. Unfortunately, I made these a little bit too late in the year, and we'll see. I don't know if they're gonna make it, right? So some of them did push and then kind of died back, and some of them push, and I don't know what that is, swelling up or something, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with these grafts. I expect some will die off. Okay, here's the next tree. Let's kind of take a look at the blooms. Here's a Dupree Saigon. It's blooming. Very, very dirty bloom, unfortunately. I haven't had much good luck with Dupree Saigon here. You know, despite what I've heard about how disease resistant it is, the blooms just does seem to be a lot more prone to fungal issues for me here than anything else. Here's a Bombay. Bombay, I'm not expecting much because I've heard of Bombay being a bit fungal, powdery mildew prone and stuff in Florida, so it's not probably a good candidate anyways for California. Okay. Here's a California Remit. This ain't making it. Probably gonna end up reblooming, but these two ain't making it. But there's these right here. It's a California Remit. I think the blooms look pretty clean so far on these, you know. So here's another Golden Queen, Cat Saigon, Jin Huang, pushing out blooms. I mean, this variety, I don't know what to say about it. I'm not sure if I love it or hate it. It seems to produce really nice long inner nodes, but there's just so few flushes within a year. You know, when that flushes is a very long, nice inner node. The fruit seems to set, and they seem to set pretty good sized nubbins. So it's just like, even though with the long inner nodes, it just seems like a slow grow. Like for example, this is like what it pushed last year. Look at that's one long push, right? But I think I only got one flush last year. I need to go back and check my notes on that. Okay, let's see what else. Oops. Okay, so here's a Hindi Basanara. Okay, guys, I got some of my varieties mixed up. So when I was talking about those two very vigorous variety, it was actually Safida Lucknow. Safida Lucknow and Sindri was two varieties that did not bloom at all for me last year. This one's the Safida Lucknow. The other one was, this one's the Hindi Basanara. So that one's blooming, thicker, a bit dirty. Don't think it's going to do much. So just kind of make sure you guys caught that. It was Safida Lucknow and Sindri was the two varieties, at least in this part of the yard, that did not bloom last year. And as of right now, it's barely even, there's no swelling in the buds whatsoever. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right. Next up is this is a cat. Looking a little bit dirty. Let's see. I don't think these blooms are gonna make it, but it is vigorous. Look how it's swelling. It's swelling like all over the end tips. And that seems to be the case for all the cat branches. Okay. Here's a cotton candy that's blooming. And oh, I forgot, I do. Yep, cotton candy. Okay, next up. This is a Florgon that's pushing some mixed blooms right now. Okay, this is my gram. I pruned it way back, but here's the Florgon. Here's, for example, the rootstock. This is the Manila, and it's a mature rootstock in terms that that rootstock has bloomed. But even as right now, look, it's sending out vegetation. A few little gem fruitlets hanging on, and this one's a Juliet. Really nice looking color. I've been trying to do the bend test. I did it a few days ago. It still didn't come off, but it's beginning to give. So it's still hard, but when you feel it, it's like giving. So probably right after this video, I'm gonna be harvesting this because I think it's ready. You know, so even though it doesn't want to pass the bend test, I think it's ready. Okay, guys. Well, that's an update on these 2019 Laverne Manila rootstocks. Pretty long update. So you stuck around. Thanks for checking out the video.